Testing my voice, getting it going. Okay, it's going. Welcome. This is the wisdom of the Avadhut Gita. Ramana Maharshi was widely regarded to exemplify its teachings. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself. This is Richard Clarke. Today, I will read from and comment on Chapter 1, verses 31 to 33, about pure consciousness. I'll also offer inquiries that might deepen your experience of these verses. Verse 31, on the destruction of a jar, the space in it unites with all space. In myself and Shiva, I see no difference when the mind is purified. 32. Brahman alone is as pure consciousness. In truth, there is no jar and no jar space, no embodied soul, nor its nature. Verse 33. There are no worlds, no Vedas, no Devas, no sacrifices, no caste, no family tribes, no nationalities, no smoke path, no shining path. My comments. These verses are from the Avadhut Gita, attributed to the Avadhut sage Dattatreya. The verses reflect the core principles of Advaita Vedanta, expressing the ultimate truth of non-dualism. Let's look at each verse. Verse 31, on the destruction of a jar, the space in it unites with all space. In myself and in Shiva, I see no difference when the mind is purified. In verse 31, the analogy of a jar is used to illustrate a profound truth about consciousness and its relationship with the ultimate reality, Brahman. The jar represents the individualized, limited perception of the self, which is confined by the mind and its conditionings. It seems the jar is separate from and located in consciousness. In reality, consciousness is the space within and outside the jar. Remove the jar and the space remains. When the jar is removed, the space that seemed within it becomes the infinite space that surrounds it. Similarly, when the individual mind is purified and transcended through self-inquiry and spiritual practice, the limited sense of self, the ego, dissolves, and what seemed to be the individual consciousness unites with the universal consciousness, Brahman. This leads to the knowledge that the true self, the Atman, is not separate from the universal consciousness, Shiva or Brahman. Atman is Brahman. Yourself and the universal self are one and the same. So inquire, you are like space. Are you in space, or is space in you? Verse 32, Brahman alone is as pure consciousness. In truth, there is no jar and no jar space, no embodied soul, nor its nature. Verse 32 further reinforces the concept of non-dualism by stating that Brahman, the ultimate reality, is pure consciousness and the only reality. The idea of a jar and the space inside it is used metaphorically to symbolize the limitations of the physical and mental world. In truth, from the perspective of Brahman, there is no jar, no individualized consciousness or embodied soul, and no specific characteristics or attributes associated with the individual. These are all relative and illusory aspects of the manifested world. They are like waves in the ocean. They're only ocean. The verse teaches that when one transcends the illusory nature of the world and realizes the true self as Brahman, all distinctions dissolve, leaving only the pure consciousness that is non-dual and eternal. Inquire. Look at consciousness. Is there anything other than consciousness? Verse 33, there are no worlds, no Vedas, no Devas, no sacrifices, no castes, no family, tribes, no nationalities, no smoke path, no shining path. Verse 33 negates the reality of the phenomenal world and all its associated concepts. It emphasizes the illusory nature of the universe as we perceive it through our limited senses and conditioned minds. The terms mentioned represent various aspects of worldly existence and social divisions. None of them are real. They are all limited and transient. In the ultimate reality of Advaita Vedanta, there is no multiplicity or diversity. All is one, without there being a one. All distinctions and boundaries that seem to be separate beings and objects are mere illusions, constructs of the mind. The verse encourages you to transcend the false appearance and seek the underlying reality of Brahman, where all dualities cease to exist. Inquire. Look at consciousness with no objects. Can you find a world or a family or anything other than consciousness? These verses from the Avadhut Gita resonate deeply with the teachings of Ramana Maharshi and Advaita Vedanta, emphasizing the importance of self-realization, the dissolution of the ego, and the recognition of the non-dual nature of reality. Through self-inquiry and the resultant purification of the mind, you can realize your oneness with the ultimate truth, transcending all limitations and experiencing the pure consciousness that is Brahman and is yourself. So inquire, know yourself, and be always free, and at peace. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this Ramana Maharshi video, subscribe, like, and send me a comment.